And in this video, after a great stay in Syracuse, we head off past Pacino, across the Malta Strait, the Mediterranean to Valletta, and then head around to the southern side of the island before heading off to Lampedusa. Okay, so today, basically going from Syracuse here to Valletta in Malta. Total distance was 80 miles. We're going to have a look at all this traffic out here, but it's really fascinating to me why they're all parked there and none of them are moving. So we'll look into that a little bit. Weather, really good weather. 200 to 300 mil of swell. I mean, there's almost nothing out there, and the wind doesn't get up above about 10 knots, so that's cool. And here we are now, just coming up to Coso Spadaro, and that's on the southeastern coastline of Sicily. And from there we head across. It's about 50 miles across the bight here until we get to Valletta. And at this stage we're getting there at about 10 to 8 this evening. Where are you? Malta? Must be here somewhere. There we go, look. Coming into Valletta, and apparently just a absolutely beautiful city, and we'll find somewhere really nice to anchor. Here we are, southeastern tip of Sicily, and we're heading back out, so it should be a little bit busier out here, I suspect, as main traffic route through the Mediterranean to the east. It's actually known as Portopalo de Capo Passero. And one of the things with us having to kind of rush down to Tunisia is we're having to bypass some pretty amazing places, and this is one of them. So it's the southernmost tip of Sicily. It's only got a population of around 4,000 people. Castle there, of course, built in the 1500s, and it was built to repel pirates. But there's quite an amazing history to the place. I mean, just one example is towards the end of the Second World War. This was where the Allies actually began to liberate Italy. This is where they landed first after they'd taken control of North Africa and just started the whole process of heading north. So pretty famous for that. And then the biggest shipping disaster here was not acknowledged by the Italians and not agreed to by the locals, but 300 nearly migrants died off this coast. And it basically happened because there was a freighter trying to transfer the migrants onto a fishing boat. The fishing boat was only 18 metres long, sank, and they lost nearly 300 people. Nice little anchorage in behind there, and the locals are out fishing. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you should be able to see it out there. I don't know if he's having more luck than what we're having, because we ain't having much. What are we in? 30 metres of water, and when you put the sonar on, there's just nothing there. There's a yacht ahead of us under power. He's probably heading to Valletta as well, and behind us we have a boat under sail. He's actually getting a little bit closer, so he's possibly heading along at a bit more than 5 knots, I suspect. Beautiful day though, almost flat calm. So this is pretty amazing. I hope you can see it, but we're in 16 metres of water at the moment, and from the boat we can absolutely see the bottom. Like, this is pristine, clear water. I hope you can see it because it really is beautiful. And this area is known as some of the best fishing in the whole of the Mediterranean. Basically, the Adriatic, Ionian and Mediterranean seas all merge at the bottom of Sicily. And we came pretty close to a lot of fishing boats. This guy was not going to change his course. And he was on our starboard, so nor should he. We had to give way to him, but he was towing nets behind him. We probably got within about 50 metres of him. He waved out, cheerful as. But yeah, these little guys were everywhere, and it was pretty obvious, such a nice day, tons of local fishermen out there, just out in their little dinghies and that, out for a good day's fishing, but we weren't having any luck. Here we are, midway between Syracuse and Valletta in Malta, and now we've got these two 21 to 25 metre motor yachts coming crashing across the Mediterranean doing 26 knots. So I hate to think the gas they're going through, but they're obviously heading to Malta, and it's probably about 4 hours for them to cross, I guess. Pretty quick, really. Off to Malta for the weekend. Nice little weekend trip away. You can probably see the fishing rod there in the picture. No luck as yet, and with the sonar on, there's just no fish down there. So anyway, we shall prevail, we shall prevail. Girls have got sausages out for dinner. Describes their confidence in our fishing ability. Here we go, coming past. Oh, to go that speed. Carrying the Maltese flag. Okay, so here is the Maltese flag that's going to go up. I've got my life jacket on just as a total precaution, because I've got to now get up and get the flagpole down, which is actually a very easy exercise, but we can never be too careful. So I'll give the camera to Wally. Right, very short-lived Italian flag. And we'll put up the Maltese flag. Now we're in Maltese waters. And she blows. Very careful here. Welcome to Malta. Okay, so we just picked this up because we're in daylight, and this ship that's ahead of us has gone through the centre line, and yet the radar is still showing ever so slightly off to the right. So there's the ship, you can see it out there. I'm holding this camera completely in line with the centre line of Awanui NZ, and you look down there and it's still at this stage showing it just crossing in front of us now on that lubber line that goes out the front. And yet there it is, way out to the left. Now what we have noticed in fitting the anemometer is that the mast that the radar is on is actually not completely perpendicular to the axis of the boat. It's offset ever so slightly to the right. So my thinking is that if the boat's absolutely ahead of us, the target, and the radar is offset to the right by say 5 degrees, it'll show the target as being slightly out to the right, because that thinks that's the axis of our boat. Hope this helps, guys, because we're going to have to fix that. It's showing it straight in front of us now on the radar, absolutely in front of us, and look where the target is. It's actually out by about 10 degrees. Yeah, so there's got to be a way, as we said, to reorient the radar to get it right. So we've had a look at the options here. We've got radar setup, then we've got installation, and you see it's got front of boat up here as 0. So we're assuming that clockwise is positive, anti-clockwise is negative, and we reckon it's out by 10 degrees. So you see it changing up there. So we've now got -10, so we've altered the front of the boat by 10 degrees. We go back, 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 and that should put it right. Now we've got a boat just ahead of us, and that actually looks to the right pretty good, so we're going to have to test it when we have a boat crossing from right to left or left to right, but we figure that's the solution. Always an answer. Now the interesting thing, coming back onto the main screen, and I mean we've done hundreds of hours now looking at this, but look at those targets out there and the AIS. Well, the AIS position has always been off target, and I just assumed that was because the radar takes a sweep and gets slightly out by the time it comes around again, or the GPS position isn't accurate to within 50, 100 metres. Well, now that we've realigned it to the front of the boat, all the AIS targets are sitting smack over the radar targets. We've just verified. In fact, that one just ahead there, look, it's ever so slightly out. We could put it to 9 degrees and I think we'd be spot on. But then I think you are getting into the accuracy of GPS. Wow, how cool is that? Okay, so out here is our target. We've got this cargo ship and he's about to cross in front of us, and there is our radar plot of him. So hopefully the middle of that radar plot will line up with the middle of that boat as it passes by. He's 1 mile away, 200 metres long. Each sweep of the radar he takes a bit of a step forward. So it'd be nice if our line ahead goes right through that AIS, and the AIS is on the back of the boat where the pilot house is, the bridge. Let's see the two together, see if we can get that for people. I reckon we're aiming at about the middle of the ship now, maybe still the bow actually.
There it is now.
Look at that. Can we live with that?
Possibly.
Can we live with that? That's bloody good. Here you go.
Just where he was needed, gleaming in black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing.
And a good number of you have asked why we puddle around at 5 knots, and probably the best answer is I'm a bit of a tight ass and I'm trying to be as economical as we can. We're just in no rush and we save about 30% by going a knot and a half slower. But what we do every second day or so is give her a blowout at full noise for 5 or 10 minutes. And we just find that makes a huge difference, just getting rid of any carbon that's building up in there, but just a little puff of smoke as you saw. And then the rest of the time, look, we're just not in a rush. So whether you do 5 knots, 6 knots, 6.5, doesn't really matter. And it means that if and when we want to on longer legs, we can actually pump it up a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, here we are approaching Valletta in Malta. And pretty long day. You can see there the sun's starting to set. So it was getting towards the end of the day. And we're pleased we actually got there during daylight, because you'll see a little bit later on that it was quite difficult navigating to find a spot where we could tie up. But look, Malta, steeped in history and such a strategic island in the middle of the Mediterranean. Obviously, in more recent times, it was basically run by the British. Yeah, so it was pretty incredible actually. Just going there, you could just feel the history, buildings from bygone eras. Very, very special place and pretty busy, to be honest. As you approach, you call, as most places we've gone to, you call up on the radio. Often you don't get an answer, so you kind of go in there a little bit unannounced and without that much information other than what you can pick up on Navily. And you can see here we're going over to the more modern side of Valletta to try and find somewhere to anchor. And I have to say, it's probably not the friendliest place to stop for boating. But you see all these buoys out there, some really, really tiny, but you've got to pick your way through them. And the word is you can tie off to them. Which ones you can and which ones you can't aren't marked. And we actually ended up with a yellow sticker from the authorities saying if we don't move the boat, they'll move it and it'll be at our expense. So, yeah, we had to meander through here for probably 10 or 20 minutes and then quite a performance to actually get tied up in the end. But very nice chap, popped alongside and offered to help. By then we were all sorted. Told us it had taken him 3 times to get tied up, and we got tied up on the first. So that was good news. Yeah, it's an unusual place to take your boat. If you don't go and stay on a marina, you kind of get the feeling that it's made a little bit difficult for you. And the local tour boat operators, of course, aren't very happy about you being there. They see it as their turf, and you get told that. So it was interesting. Beautiful, beautiful city, but not sure it's the easiest to stop there. Blue ones. But they did say at times you just have to paddle around a bit until you suddenly see a couple of buoys that you can latch onto, but I haven't seen anything at the moment. Let's have a look around here.
What are these yellow ones for?
Which yellow ones? Thing?
These yellow ones.
Well, they're quite big though, aren't they? How do we get the bloody line around it?
Like this here.
Amazing, eh? Yeah, last night is it even better tonight?
Tonight is better,
Yeah.
To the music.
With music.
Wow.
20 minutes.
So those ones last night, were they the kind of size they were?
No, smaller.
Did you
These
make
Much
them?
bigger.
Do you make them?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that was amazing last night. Well done.
And how
Tonight
long?
it will be beautiful.
How long is it
If you
tonight?
want to stay there, you can at least put it on that yellow one somewhere there. But there it's a bit dangerous.
Oh, where would you say?
On the yellow one.
Or that one, the yellow one there.
We'll be gone
Yeah,
tonight.
somewhere there.
Over here.
We
Okay.
start at 10 o'clock and this one will fire at 11.
Wow. And how
Okay.
long does it go for?
Sorry?
How long does it last?
20 minutes.
Wow.
From here and then 1 hour from up there.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Doc. I mean, Malta's just steeped in history, isn't it?
Yeah, of all different countries that have been here.
Yep, no doubt Napoleon, no doubt the English, the Ottomans, the Athenians, and the Venetians. They seem to have been the general culprits around these parts for unrest. I mean, there's a tender. so we can definitely tie up there.
So obviously we're not allowed to park there. I'm not sure what the conversation was, but the boys are taking the tender somewhere. Lord only knows where they're going. Found them. They went over by the rocks, which is where some other boats are tied as well. Please they let us off where they let us off.
So we didn't have a lot of time in Valletta, unfortunately. Basically got in the night before, and then the next day we were needing to head off to try and catch a nice weather window across to Lampedusa. So we decided to go to the old town, and when you park your tender there, just where we got off, these little buggies that can take you up into the centre of the old town. And I mean, it would have been quite a walk up there, and it was pretty hot. So we decided to do it, €5 each. It was actually a really good tour. They find out what language you speak. Obviously, we were English, and there was some Hungarian. So as you're going along, it switched between English and Hungarian. But the old city, obviously beautiful, centuries old, beautifully built, beautifully preserved, pretty special all in all. And one lovely little bit of information we got, tickled my fancy, was when the city was originally built, women were not allowed out in the streets. They had to remain in their homes. And to get around that, they demanded balconies be built out from their house on the upper floors. And so whenever you're driving around Valletta, you can see these beautiful little verandas built out there for the ladies to pop out and be able to observe what is going on. All right, so we're departing Valletta in Malta, and Valletta, and what a beautiful city it is. So really excited to come back here out of Tunisia with friends in October. Again, people lovely, food was fantastic and very reasonable prices. Today what we're doing is just heading around the island to, you guessed it, Blue Caves, because of course that's the Mediterranean for you. So there's our route there. It's only 10.9 miles, and then around there is a gorgeous little bay that we're going to spend the night in, and we're going to depart for Lampedusa at 2 o'clock in the morning, because it's a good weather window for a 17-hour trip, and then we're going to be in Lampedusa for at least 2 days to wait for a weather window to open up to continue down to Montserrat in Monastir in Tunisia. So just bring it in. Here's Malta over here. Here is Lampedusa. So about 17 hours down there, and then about 10 or 12 hours through to Monastir in Tunisia. But yeah, it's looking like we'd like to have stayed here another night, because tonight there's a fantastic fireworks display all done to music, and we were right in front of it. So if you thought last night's was good, tonight's would have been unbelievable. Real sense of excitement around the place. But yeah, we just got to watch the weather, because we're booked on flights out of Tunis next Saturday, so we really do have to keep going. Anyway, we're heading around here. We're having some lunch on the way. When we get there, we're up for a swim, bit of a snorkel, and then we're going out for dinner tonight.
How it was now, to get away with
And you were fighting against that.
Alright, so today's maintenance issue actually could have been a disaster. Just going down into the lazarette, we blew the fuse again on the solar. And what I'm about to show you now is a little bit disappointing, probably as much my fault as the electricians, but effectively what I didn't realise, and I didn't think I needed to, was that the power coming out of, or the amperage coming out of the solar controller in the engine room through to this bus, which is the 24 volt DC bus, ramps up. So the voltage coming out of the panels can be up to 100 volts maximum, whereas the voltage for the batteries is 24 volts, and the controller knows that, so it drops the voltage, which ups the amperage. And you can see here on those wires that there's actually some burning on them. So off down to the engine room, and we're going to turn the power off from the solar panels, and it hasn't gone back on since, unfortunately. And essentially the problem is we connected 6mm tinned marine cable through to the controller and then carried on with 6mm. There's the 6mm tinned marine cable there. See the burning here where it connects in? That could have been a disaster. Anyway, with a bit of investigation, what we've now found is we need 16mm marine tinned cable, which we've sorted, and that will solve the problem with a stronger fuse. So this is a pretty significant part of the Mediterranean for the Second World War, and all around the islands of Malta, where they've discovered or gone out to find sunken wrecks, both aircraft and boats from the Second World War, they've got them clearly marked on the map. So you know their depth, you know where they are, and then if you actually search them online, there's their story. So just here, just out of Valletta, we've got HMS Southwood, the stern of it, HMS Southwold, the bow, and then a little later on around Malta there are aircraft. There's a Blenheim bomber there, in about what looks like 25 metres of water, and then further around the other side they've got marked a Sky Raider, Douglas A1 Sky Raider. That's in about 60 or 70. B-24 Liberator up there. So it's kind of neat that they've taken the time to actually find these relics and put them on a map, and then of course publish the information on the web. So yeah, special part of the world really, and steeped in history. So a rookie mistake here on a long list. We tied a buoy to the head of the anchor because we had a forecast rocky anchorage, but the mistake was we'd never done this before. We're departing in the middle of the night, and it's not a good idea to try something new. So when we're pulling the anchor up, you get all this loose rope, and then you bring the buoy on. What we should have done was brought the buoy on board the boat, and then as the anchor comes up, we take in the slack rope. It really could have ended up being a disaster. So just got to think a little bit more about when we do things, and I'm going to do some research about what is the best way to secure a buoy to the head of an anchor in rocky waters. The girls had one pina colada. I think we're absolutely preloaded, but they have had a swim. Okay, so now we're going through, guess what? Blue caves in the Mediterranean. In Greece, in Albania, in Montenegro, in Croatia, in Italy, and now in Malta. Blue caves are everywhere. I suspect they're called blue because the water's blue. That's probably the most spectacular cave we've been through so far. So people, that is where we're going tomorrow, out there. Over there. Man producer, here we come. Well, once we get up around the end there, we can probably go in.
What do we think, guys? No, that's for your
Are you
shells.
worried you're not
and
going to get your share?
that.
Yeah, I am.
That's for your shells and everything, I
That's the
think.
shells and everything. So I'm going to eat that right now, so I get rid of mine.
Here's Jen's.
Yes, I'm busy
Beautiful.
These
winding.
look great.
This is
Mate.
mine. I haven't started mine yet. How are you, Marky? Are you too hurt to talk?
I am.
Why?
Because you just said that you can't remember the last time I gave you a compliment. That hurts.
Did that just come out of the blue?
What?
Did I just say that out of the blue?
Well, no.
Jen said that her spaghetti bolognese is lovely, but the one I make is nicer. And I said, thanks, Jen. That's lovely to get a compliment. I don't get many of those.
Yeah, that's when I jumped in and said, you know, that I give you compliment. You said, when was the last time you gave me a compliment? That's
And instead of you thinking about it and giving me an answer, you just went into hurt mode.
I remember.
I know exactly when I gave you a tip. I was saying about how well you drive the boat and how amazing you are.
I see how beautiful the Brazilian Volcanoes was.
It's just not going to be here. Might as well turn it off now.
It's not going to end well, he said. Oh,
What do you think, Jenny?
This is when you say
it's going to be long, mate.
lovely.
Maybe when you
Yeah,
get
look at the rays out of that. That's a beautiful sunset, isn't it? Look at the sun rays above the cloud, Jenny.
I actually.
Well, good morning. It's Sunday the 18th of August. Just 6 days till we start heading home to New Zealand for Blossom Valley, but today, or tonight I should say, we're heading from Malta here to Lampedusa, over to the northwest of Malta, about 90 miles away. Very, very small Italian island that's been effectively the staging post for migrants for the last 30 years. But it's a pretty well run operation there now. They all go into detention centres, and once they're in Lampedusa they know they're on their way to Europe, so they behave, and apparently there's just no problems over there these days. But anyway, we'll get there and time will tell. So we're doing a little over 5 knots, and at the moment we're going to arrive at 7 o'clock this evening. So the plan was to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. My son from New Zealand rang me at midnight. I thought that was the alarm going off. I didn't even look at my phone. I just heard it making this noise and assumed it was the alarm, so I got up. So 2 hours earlier than we anticipated, but it just got a little bit rolly in the anchorage that you saw last night, so we were fairly close to the edges there, so we thought the best thing to do was get going. So the weather for today, here we are here in predict wind, and Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning we've got a 0.4 metre swell, so, or wave height they call it, more of a swell. Feels like a little bit more than that now out there, and it's definitely at the moment on the nose. Hopefully it'll move away and slightly behind us a little bit later on if I move it through to 6 o'clock tonight. It's picking up a little bit over at Lampedusa, up to about 0.7, 0.8. Let's touch it there we go, actually 0.5 it's saying at the moment, and it's from 341, so again it's out to the right, so a little bit of a beam, a little bit uncomfortable, but at least you're not pounding into it. Wind wise, up to a maximum of 14 knots. We've already seen 16, so there you go. That's forecasting for you. But it looks okay out there. You can see a little bit of traffic out to the right there, well away. AIS targets up here. We've got one target moving in from the north, and there's another target down here to the southeast coming across, but or more east, I guess. No, southeast, that's right. Yep. Yeah, so here we go. Lampedusa, and then Monastir, and home.